Okay, welcome to Lesson 3, Solve Linear Systems by Elimination. It's also called combinations. We're going to combine two equations or we're going to eliminate. It just all depends on how you look at it. So this is our third and final way that we're going to learn how to solve our linear systems. And just like with substitution, I'm going to work through an example and then show you the steps. I want you to go back and look and kind of see where do the steps occur. So I'm going to go ahead and get started now. Alright, and I actually skipped a step just to save time. So here are the steps. The first one is to arrange your equations with like terms in columns. So that means that we're going to put the x's with the x's, the y's with the y's. Then we're going to multiply one or both equations by a number to obtain opposite coefficients for one variable. So for either x, we're going to have opposite numbers, or y, we're going to have opposite numbers. Step 3 is to add the equations from step 2 together and solve. Step 4, we're going to substitute our answer from step 3 into either original equation. Now we're going to solve that. And step 5 is to check your answers, just like we did with substitution. Now you notice I skipped step 5 just to save some time. So let's look back here, and I want you to try to identify now with your group where was step 1, 2, 3, and 4. So go ahead, pause the video and do that now. Alright, right here was step 1 and step 2 together. Step 1, I put my x's under my x's, my y's under my y's. And then I looked, and you saw that I underlined these because I noticed that they had opposite coefficients. Sometimes it's really nice, and you don't have to actually manipulate the equation to where you have to get opposite coefficients. Sometimes it's easy and you get a +3 and a -3. So once that happens, we're able to do step 3, which occurs here, where we add the equations together. So 4x plus 2x gives me 6x. 3y plus -3y means that there's no more y's left. We eliminated the y's. After we combined the equations, we eliminated y, so that's where the term elimination comes from. 16 plus 8 is 24. Then I just solve for x. And then here's where step 4 starts. I pick an original. It doesn't matter which one you pick, you'll get the same answer for both. I substitute in the variable that I know from step 3, and I got my second answer. So I got y equals 0 and x equals 4. Okay, so here's another example that I want to do. Actually, I want you to try this example on your own. This one's nice and it's set up alright, so go ahead, pause the video, and work through this example in your group using the steps we just learned now. And here are the worked out solutions to that example. And again, I didn't do step 5, but I really encourage you to do step 5 and check your answers. So go ahead, pause the video, and go over this to make sure that you did this right. And now, I'm going to go over an example with you that's different. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to follow step 1. Put these in columns. So negative 4x minus 9y equals negative 23. Unfortunately, though, we see that we don't have opposite coefficients for either x or y. So when this happens, we have to manipulate our equations by multiplication. Now, whenever you do this, I want you in your head to decide, do I want to do x or y? Because either way will work. It does not matter which one you pick. I normally try to look to see if any of them are already close. Negative 2 and negative 4 aren't bad, but negative 9 and negative 9 are very, very close. I mean, they're almost opposites already. So what we need to do is we just need to change the sign of one of these. It does not matter which. So I'm just going to change the sign of the first one. So I need to multiply negative 9 by a number to make it a positive 9. And I know that multiplying by negative 1 will do that. So I'm going to multiply by negative 1. And when I do that, I have to multiply everything in that equation by negative 1. So negative 1 times negative 2x gives me 2x. Negative 1 times negative 9y gives me a plus 9y. And negative 1 times negative 25 gives me a positive 25. Now I didn't do anything to the second one, so I just rewrite it. Sometimes you will have to manipulate both, but this time I did not. Okay, now we can do step 3 and add. 2x minus 4x, negative 2x. We eliminate our 9's and our y's. That equals 2. Divide by negative 2. We get x equals negative 1. And now, after step 2, it just becomes an equation like we had before. Except here, plug into an original. Do not try plugging in to one of your new equations. It will work, yes. You can plug into one of the new ones from step 2, but sometimes the numbers can be a little bit bigger and a little bit more complicated. So just pick one of your originals. I'm just going to pick this, negative 4x minus 9y equals negative 23. Substitute in for x and solve. So we get 4 minus 9y equals negative 23. Subtract 4. It's going to get a little bit cramped, so I'm going to move it up here. Negative 9y equals negative 27. Divide by negative 9. We get y equals 3. So again, sometimes you may have to manipulate. And if you do, when it comes to step 4, do not use your manipulated equations. Use your originals. Okay, so here's an example I want you to try on your own with your group. So go ahead, pause the video and try this now. And here is the worked out solution to that. You'll notice that this one was nice because we didn't have to multiply to change our originals. So go ahead, pause the video and review this with your group. And then we have one more example I want you to try, and this example you will have to manipulate the equations, though you only have to do it to 1. So go ahead, pause the video, and try this with your group now. Okay, and here is the way that I solved this. I found that it was easier to multiply the 5x by -2 to make it a -10 instead of trying to work with the y. But you could have multiplied a y in the top equation by 7, and that would have worked as well. But either way, you should have got that x equals 1 and y equals 4. So go ahead, review this with your group, and after you're done with that, the video is over.